I'm going to, now we are officially recording. I'm delighted to have Randall become our partner in addition to our host this evening, but our partner in co-marketing and encouraging people to get involved with this whole process that Randall's going to describe tonight. And I'll just, before we get started, I want to ask people to just say a few words about what their interest is. And we can start with Krishna since he's had all this time to think about it. He was here first. You have to unmute. You're still muted, Krishna. You gotta take your.
Okay.
There you go. There you
go. All right. I think I came here in Columbus about 10 years ago, and I think I joined Simply Living. Started coming to their meetings about 2 or 2.5 years later. So most of the time I'm here. I've been, working with Chuck on different things, and at least attending his seminars and talks and everything to get some enlightenment.
Including
that's really it, really. Yeah.
Yeah. Including the days when we were actually at movie theaters and at actually buildings and
in person, in-person meetings and get-togethers. Yeah.
Okay. Lynn, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Lynn Stan, and I am on the board of Simply Living, but just interested in the whole, everything about Simply Living and being sustainable affects every part of our life. And I'm really interested in how you're going to approach it, Randall. And just, I think we're all going through ways to reconstruct in the best ways possible. So happy to be here.
All right, Janice, welcome.
Hi, thank you. I'm Janice Oakley. I live in Summit County, and I attended a conference you had about 20 years ago or so on a weekend. That's how I found out about you, and I wish there were a group near me that I could join. I read the book about 30 years ago, and it had a big effect on my life. And I just love to have people to talk to, other people who have read it to talk to.
That's great, and we have a longer-term vision at Simply Living to have little Simply Living. We have now a number of what we call sustainable groups that are in various neighborhoods and local cities around in Central Ohio. And I've had some experience of kind of talking to, I went to a group, for example, in Newark, and we talked about the concept. When groups get together and start thinking about sustainability, that's a magic that builds community and offers opportunities to behave and learn new things. And this course has been a core in the evolution of Simply Living. So many people in Simply Living have experienced this, read this book. So welcome, Janice, and maybe we'll be up in the in Summit County at some point.
And one other thing, my computer freezes for like 10 or 15 minutes at least once an hour. So I'm glad you're recording it because I may miss part of it.
Okay, fair enough. Kathy.
Hi, so I'm Kathy Cohen-Becker. I'm the new executive director of Simply Living. So we are, we're doing a lot of different things. One thing we're doing is a major transition to a new database. The one we have is just a free one from online, and we're going with one that a lot of nonprofits use called Donor Perfect that will be a lot more user-friendly, make it a lot easier to track donations, to track when people, go to an event like this. It'll automatically register that, they can register, and then that will be in their profile. And so we're really looking forward to that. It's kind of a process to do that. But beyond that, we're also launching lots of new events and initiatives. Like if you look at our calendar right now, we have 6 events in August and September. And we also are going to be leaning heavily into Simply Living Sustainable You. with 2 of the Earth Institute discussion courses that Chuck just mentioned. They haven't, we've let people know about them. We don't have registration up yet, but we will soon. And I'm really hoping that SLSU and, you know, presentations like this one will be a big part of what we're doing moving forward. Our mission just is all around community education for sustainability of all sorts. And so I'm really excited to, you know, really be relaunching Simply Living. Like, new life is coming into it. People are just coming back and saying, I want to teach this or I want to do that. And we're like, okay, let's do it.
Yes, absolutely. Karen.
Hi, my name is Karen Jones, and I've been retired for about 10 years. And I just read the book, and I heard about it and I thought, oh, it's just going to be another blah, 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 how to invest and everything. And then when I started reading it, because my whole life, I love investing, I love saving, I love simply living, I like not spending money. And then you get retired and, oh, now I have to spend it? I don't know how to do that. And it's been a real long learning curve for me to, especially, you know, now that I have to do my RMD, to actually spend the money. And this book was so exciting for me because I thought, especially that question, if somebody told you that you were going to die in a year, what would you do? And I thought, it just got me to thinking, and I got, you know, really excited, and I started doing more, you know, cleaning out and getting rid of stuff, and feeling good about, yes, I'm going to spend this money. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to die broke. This is great, you know. And it just was just such a impactful book for me to read. And it just, I just was so excited that when I saw this, that you were going to talk about it, I thought, oh my gosh, this is so great. I'm so excited to be here.
That's great. Great story. And now we're going to turn it over to Randall, who's going to tell his story, which is really a full circle experience that you're going to hear about.
Absolutely.
Randall, take it away. You can...
Absolutely. I came around Simply Living in about 2004. And I started off with Voluntary Simplicity, an Earth Institute course. And during that 8 weeks, you know, I made friends with people. And I think it was about the 5th chapter or so was a little segment about that included Your Money or Your Life by Joe Dominguez and Vicki. So when I came to Simply Living, I was nearly $20,000 in credit card debt. And I'll tell my story a little bit later, but Sheila, Chuck's wife, taught me Your Money or Your Life in 2004. And I went through it twice within a year with her. And then the second year, I was so excited about it and making so much headway in paying off my debt and seeing, you know, the light at the end of the tunnel, that I asked, you know, could I start helping her teach it? So, and with Your Money, Your Life, if you successfully lived in integrity with the tools for at least a year or so, and you want to pick it up and run with teaching it, teach it free, pay what you know, get people to pay you for it. However you want to do it is fine. As long as you're living in integrity and in alignment with the tools, and they've actually, you know, made changes in your life. So she said yes, and we co-delivered. And our biggest class, we had to split up because she had about 20 people. I had about 20 people. We were up at Unitarian Universalist Church. Is that on Weisheimer's?
Yes.
Yes. And that's where we split up into 2 groups. And one of the last groups I had was 28 students at that time. And so, you know, I came into it when Simply Living had already embraced the principles of Your Money or Your Life. And Marilyn Welker, who founded the organization, first taught it. then it got passed around, you know, to different people. And I came in when Sheila had it. And I have all the archives of every piece of paper, every mailing list, 2 cassette tape series, still on cassette tapes from Joe Dominguez. I was back here looking. That's my archive department behind the curtains. And that's where the magic happens, you know. It's in the archives. It's in the history of Simply Living. You know, that's where your power sits back there. There's so much history with Simply Living, and I just, you know, loved it and dove so deep into Simply Living for a good 12 years or so, being on the board president, helping start up and run the Gift to Be Simple when it was conceived. Then I spun off of Simply Living off the board and being highly active after about 12 years or so. But I still was doing Your Money or Your Life. But what we found was that Your Money or Your Life had already been seeded inside of Simply Living and the communities that Simply Living was involved with, and people were living these principles. And they were just indelibly living it in front of people. And so people's interest in actually taking a course waned because they were already living them. They were already, you know, simplifying their life. They did the household inventory like Karen, it sounded like Karen was doing, and getting rid of stuff and selling it to build up an emergency savings. Can you tell I'm excited? I'm just like going 100 miles a minute. And that's great. You know, it sounds like such a synchronicity that I tell you what, I was meditating and Spirit said, it's time to relaunch this course, that we're in the perfect time for it. You know, and people were forced to become quiet, back with themselves when the country was shut down. And they really have looked at their lives and are trying to decide, how do I step back in? And do I even want to step back in the same way that I stepped out? And many people are telling, because I have conversations with hundreds of people a month in one way or another through the courses I teach, that are saying, you know, I don't want to step back in like I was. I told my company, I'm going to continue working from home, or you can find someone else to do this job, because it's so much simpler. I don't have to drive 10 miles, be all stressful about that, the wear and tear on my car, gas in my car. I don't have to pay for parking, $80 a month, you know, and all of the job costs that we have involved in going to a job. And people are looking at their lives differently. They realize they'd rather be home with the kids around while they work, you know, and take their little breaks and have the kids. And it's just the perfect and right time. And as Chuck said, you know, I've come full circle with Your Money or Your Life. The goal of Your Money or Your Life is that you become financially independent and or financially intelligent. Sometimes you become intelligent before you become independent, because, you know, it's the faith without works is dead thing. You know, you gain the theory and you know the theory and you're intelligent, but you have to chop wood, carry water in order to become independent. So when I left Simply Living, I was still on the Your Money or Your Life goal of becoming financially independent. And while I remained, I became debt-free except for a home loan in 2008. So I started Your Money, Your Life 2004. 2008, I became debt-free, bought my first home in the south end of Columbus, and dove into helping make the south end of Columbus a better place for everybody through the Simply Living tools of simplicity and becoming good neighbors, and taking down the 8-foot, you know, fences so that we could talk across the fences rather than being hidden from each other, and all those great works that I was doing and enjoying doing. And so I sold that home just before the pandemic really hit in April of last year. Everything was such a great synchronicity. And I had bought a home here in the South End that would allow me to put my business and my living all in one place so that I wouldn't be paying somebody else rent for my business. That's all part of becoming an FIRE, as we call it, on fire for your money or your life. And so I bought this house, combined my business, and that allowed me to keep $600 extra in my pocket to put in my home loan. So after 8 years, I had built up over these years enough savings to combine with the little home that I sold, and I was able to pay off this property in 8 years by, you know, just doing the next right step. And not every step is in your money or your life, but the foundation of what you need is there. And as you become more intelligent and you do your research, you find ways of just creating your debt. I'm getting probably a little bit ahead, but I'm going to do it anyway. Just like paying off my credit card debt of $20,000. I found that once my credit score went up, I started getting credit card offers for 0% for 6 to 12 months. So I moved the debt to 0 to 6 months, and I could then I wasn't paying interest anymore. So all of my money went to paying off the debt, and then I'd move it again. So those are some of the, you know, one of the techniques that I teach in this course, you know, that people can do to pay off debt. So, so coming to the end of the pandemic here, I'm moving more into doing exactly what I want rather than what I've been doing for money. Like I've been managing 23 rentals over the last 10 years or so. Had two of my own, and managed for family and friends who wanted to get into real estate, but they didn't want to manage. So that was a gift or a talent I could make money at. I've continued to do massage therapy for 32 years, and I still do 12 clients a week. And I teach online courses and CE courses. So I have like a 3-legged stool, a 4-legged table, you might say, in the way I entrepreneur and make money. With the pandemic, we had to shut down massage therapy. So I moved my attention to the courses, and your money, your life kept coming up. It kept saying, you know, I want to come back. I want to come back. It's time. It's time. And when I paid off this home loan recently, I knew it was time. I didn't realize what I was doing was I was becoming a total FIR, 100% debt free. And it's just, you know, by the grace of God and doing the next right step of your money or your life, and some other programs I've been involved in that I'll tell you a little bit about, that I've been able to succeed at this. And I've always talked about the great mother, Simply Living, never escapes my conversation when I've taught, shared. I've done this little hour-long courses at spiritual retreats when I wasn't teaching it for Simply Living. And so it's continued to be something that I, you know, put out there, and Simply Living, you know, is always given honor to it as the source of it, you know, for me. So what I thought I'd do this evening is run through some slides with you and share some of the Your Money or Your Life course with you. We'll do a few questions about that you can answer privately. And then we'll do some Q&A at the end. So why don't I do a screen share here, and hopefully I'll choose the right screen. This should give you the slides. You got it? Okay. So I'm going to breeze through a little bit, some of this, the history and the authors. I'll give you a little bit more about my personal story, your relationship with money defined, what would you like, fulfillment and enough, the Goldilocks point, what the steps are, and some previous participant comments and how to begin your journey today. So I realize we're a little bit more limited on time. We got about, what, 40 minutes there, Chuck? Something like that?
And we're flexible.
Okay. So Joe Dominguez created this course back and launched it in 1987. Joe passed away in 1997 of cancer, and Marilyn and a few of the Simply Living people got to meet him about a year before he passed, and you know, spent a lot of one-on-one time with him, and just to honor him, because they had never met him, but they had been, you know, talking up his course and delivering it to the Columbus community for, you know, quite a few years by then. Now, Vicki Robin is still living today. She co-authored the book that you see. The original book was a green book, but she co-authored Your Money or Your Life. Joe was really great at delivering the course, but he was really crappy at writing. So Vicki attended his course and started the Your Money or Your Life path. And she said, hey, Joe, I think we can make a book out of this. Because Joe was just teaching, you know, the tools. He hadn't written a book yet. So she helped him do that. This is the latest version. And what has really changed in it is the stories are more up to date. The principles remain the same in the book, but the stories are just traded out for something more current. So with the course I'll be talking about today, you could really use any copy, but these three versions really work the best with the study guide that we'll tell you about at the end of today. So it's the brown cover, I call it, then came the green cover, and then came the yellow cover. So these are the ones readily available on the market at an affordable price, or at the library. You probably won't find any older than these. So Vicki is still involved today, but she's more involved in food and how to get food into the community, how to feed people, that kind of thing. The New York Times called her the prophet of consumption downsizers back in the early 2000s. So in 1990, right after, you know, the recession of the late 1980s, I went bankrupt in 1990. And that was about a $30,000 bankruptcy. You'll notice it's easy for me to talk about money and my stuff with money. And that's what I really help people become comfortable with in the courses and what Your Money, Your Life is about. A lot of people, it's easier for them to talk about sex than it is about money. And that was one of Joe's lines, you know. People were more willing to talk about that than, you know, how much was in their bank account. So when I talk about my relationship with money, I've gotten to the point and I've recovered enough that I can tell my full story. So I did a bankruptcy in 1990. That was as a result of abusing alcohol and drugs. At one time, I was a cocaine addict and you know, active. And I ended up at the tail end spending nearly $300 a week for that habit. So I rolled into 1990 having that kind of credit card debt and overhead of $30,000. So, but then by the time I reached about 2004, I had built up another $20,000 in credit card debt. So while I had recovered my life through 12-step programs and things of that sort, I already learned the importance of steps. And I was living in recovery, I still had this money issue to deal with, right? And really, the programs I was using, the counseling I was using didn't have anything. So I, you know, prayed and asked my higher power to send something along. Well, that's when Simply Living came along, you know, to take me the rest of the way on my spiritual journey with the voluntary simplicity and then Your Money or Your Life. So in 2004, around $20,000 worth of credit card debt, I started the Your Money or Your Life program. And this is one little thing that we teach you to do, is to do a wall chart. You see the red line there? Right up here at the beginning of 2004 was the $20,000 worth of credit card debt. Look what happened as a result of the program. Look at that red line as a result of Your Money or Your Life. Within 2 years, I was debt free and bought my first home. Well, 2004 to 2008, that's 4 years, isn't it? So about 3.5 years or so. But I started building, their blue line is income. And so here's one of the magical points that I came to, a magical crossover point, we call it, was when my monthly income exceeded the amount of debt I had. So that's one of the amazing things that happened within a couple of years of taking this course. So, you know, I could have put that on a slide, but I just pulled this out at the last minute. So that's one thing we have you do in the course. And, you know, and I go back all the time and look at this, you know, this is evidence. You know, you go to court with evidence, right? This is evidence that it works. So So I was able to just create that, bought my first home, and now in 2021, 100% debt free. So you see there on your screen when I teach this everywhere, Simply Living's link is in there for people to go to. So I like to tell people all about Simply Living. So what I'd like you to think about today is your relationship with money. And where do you feel into where it is right now? And your money or your life is really about feeling into your values. What are your values with regard to living and living on the planet, and your relationship to the planet, your relationship to community? It isn't a budgeting course by any means. We don't teach you how to do a budget, but we do teach you how to find what your values are and how then to apply them to the use of your money. Really, it's more about the use of your life energy that you trade for money. Because if this bottle were full of marbles and represented your life energy, for every moment of time that you spend on the job, you're giving up a molecule of your life energy in return for $1. So your money or your life is about not continuing to have to do that until some magical number in the future of retiring at 67 and having free time. We would like for you to have free time to be with family, friends, and in community in the best way possible for you in the now, not some pie in the sky later. So if you take on and embrace the steps of your money or your life, you can actually get there, and you can have more time to have more fun in the now rather than waiting sometime later to do that. So for you, are you feeling very comfortable with money right now? Meaning solid, consistent, dependable, free from worry? Or are you feeling comfortable, pleasant, a few worries, an acceptable amount of time? Now, when I came to Simply Living with this, I was stressful. I was down here. I was clouded with persistent feelings of fear, worry, deprivation, hopelessness, how I was like going to get out of paying nearly $900 a month in payments to the credit card companies. So I've become comfortable now. Or are you feeling neutral, kind of an average amount of time? Come see, come saw, or are you stressful, like I was? Are the pieces, of your money life kind of not fitting together yet? And would you like them to fit together more with better clarity and finding practical ways that you can actually do this? So, if you'd like to have more clarity about money, feel more in control and empowered about money, and actually reduce expenses with it 20% within 6 months, that's a big promise, right? You can really see yourself reducing those expenses 20% in 6 months. I got out of debt much faster than I thought possible, from 2004 to around August or so of 2008, being 100% debt-free and buying my first home. That was a big thing, because within the program of Your Money, Your Life, about the only asset you can have or buy is a house, is real estate. So we allow for that because it can build value over time for you. So for me, it's the safest place that I put my money today as far as savings and that kind of thing. We'd like to help you get to the point where you can choose the type of work you do rather than just doing something for money. I used to clean houses and bars while I was starting massage school, because massage therapy was a career change for me in 1990 also. So I did houses and bars just as a way to get money. I didn't really enjoy it. So maybe someone coming to this course or in Simply Living is just doing something for the money, but they'd rather get to the place that they really have fun at doing a side hustle, we call them, or a side hack, or like me, being an entrepreneur and doing 2 or 3 different things. I think that really works for my ADD also, having 3 or 4 different things going on at the same time. It really, has helped with that. I'd like to help you reconnect with a greater meaning and purpose in life through these steps, and to increase your experience and have a fulfillment in your life. You know, that's what we're always doing, is seeking greater fulfillment in anything that we do. That's why we volunteer for Simply Living. It gives us a sense of fulfillment to be involved in the community. That's why we make donations within a reasonable amount. We want to support what we appreciate. We want to support, for me, support the mother and help her continue. So if you answered yes to just one of the things that I brought up here on this sheet, then your money or your life is for you. So let's talk about fulfillment for a moment. If you look on the left side of your screen there, there's an arrow going up. We're always seeking greater fulfillment regardless of what we're doing. If you're taking a bath, if you're eating a meal, if you're attending a Simply Living garden tour, that's to help you have greater fulfillment. It gives you a sense of community, a sense of giving back to the world in a way that affects it in a bigger way than just you alone. So along the bottom of the scale, the fulfillment scale there, is money spent over time. So you'll spend money over time till you rest in peace someday, and we'll all get there. There'll be an end to this human existence that we have. How do you want to spend it? Do you want to spend it giving up your life energy to, to another job, making another widget to make another dollar? Or would you rather find ways so that you can live more simply, spend money more wisely? You know, the less you spend, the more you have, as they say in the FI groups. What I discovered was this. When I would, there's survival living, there's comfort living, and there's luxurious living. I discovered that I would rather, how close to survival living can I live and still be comfortable? And you get to decide what that is for you. So survival living is this. It's having a roof over your head, the basics, the essentials, right? Food in your mouth. We're all trying to survive and live. Comfort living is this. Maybe you don't want to sit on the floor. I wanted a sofa. So I bought a sofa and I was able to live more comfortably, but that costs money, right? To go from the floor to a sofa. And then there are times that we all seek luxuries in some way. That might be having a 4-day weekend. It might be a vacation on a cruise. You get to decide what these are for you. What's survival for me and the least amount that I want to have? What's a comfortable level of living? And what's a luxury? Your money or your life is not going to tell you what to believe. This course meets everybody where they are and honors everyone where they are. I've had people come to and take your money, your life. They're kind of where Karen talked about. They're at a place where they they didn't know what to do with the money they saved. And they use the steps of your money or your life and asking 3 magical questions that I'll talk to you a little bit later. The 3 questions that help you find out how do you want to live with your money. Philanthropically, I've had people come who said, Randall, I've worked hard all my life. I have hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank. I own my home. I owe nothing to nobody. I don't know what to do with my time or this money. And will this course help me do that? Yes, it will. It'll help you figure out how you want to live with your money if you've already become an FIer, financially independent, as a result of intelligence built over time. So everyone in the Your Money, Your Life program, if you go through it, you get to decide what things are in my home that are survival, what's there for comfort, what's a luxury item, and what things are in my home that are clutter that I want to get rid of. Now, this also will extend, believe it or not, even into relationships as you go through Your Money, Your Life. I found I was buying meals for people just to have company. So when I first came to Your Money, Your Life, I had this low self-esteem about people wanting to spend time with me. And through this course, I found, I hold pretty good conversation. I have some pretty good values. I don't have to buy meals for people and spend $30 a plate if I want to go out to eat with someone. I can actually invite them into my home, do a potluck, and have company that way, and maybe connect more deeply even in that way. So I ended up cutting out buying meals for other people and taking them out to eat at restaurants as a way to help me pay off my debt. So your money or your life in the steps will extend even into relationships that you hold with other people, with your job, and with your community. So you get to decide what your enough point is in your life. What is your enough point? Do you notice the little lines that I drew in there from survival to rest in peace? Notice how that line is longer than the ones from comfort and luxury to rest in peace. The closer I live to survival and the less I spend of the money I've earned with the use of my life energy, the more time I have before I rest in peace to have fun, to be with my family, to be with my friends, to invite my neighbors like I do now over, and we sit around the fire pit and have discussion, you know, because I'm not so tired at the end of the day making a living that I collapse when I get home. You know, that's one thing Joe Dominguez used to say, are you working 9 to 5 to buy a dime? You know, or are you actually making, do you come home, feel like you've actually made a living today? You're full of life energy and excited, or are you worn out and just blown, you know, from the stress of the day? So what's survival? What's comforts? What's luxury? What's clutter? What's your enough point? You'll discover that for yourself. In your money or your life, time and space in life is your final frontier. Time and space in your life to enjoy it in the now. And I'm not, you know, I'm not waiting till I'm 67, I decided. You know, I'm started doing that, you know, in my 50s, you know, for me, because your money or your life helped me get there. I know other people that do it in their 20s, you know, because they've come into the planet and they immediately saw they didn't want to connect with, you know, the big churning wheel. And a lot of the youth today are deciding to live more simple lives, closer to survival, yet comfortable, so that they have more time in the now. So maybe we blazed the trail for them, Chuck. I don't know. I think we probably did. So it's the enough point is just like the Goldilocks point. Not too big, not too small, just right. It's not too hot, not too cold. It's just right. Just right for you is different than just right for me. So it takes certain skills and qualities to know how to reach enough, how to recognize when you're just right, how to stay near the peak of fulfillment without falling into deprivation. So this isn't a deprivation program either. We're not telling you to sell your house and move into a tent, you know, or a yurt or whatever. Now, if that's what you want and that's what you want to do, fine. I've had other people come to this course wanting to know how to get out of the tent and how to get back into a shared living situation, their own apartment, or buy their own home. So I've had them on both ends of the scale. I want to get out of the tent, Randall, or Randall, I have all this money. What do I do with it? So the course will meet you where you are. We want you to learn to stay at the peak of fulfillment, but we don't want you to fall into deprivation or go over the hill from luxuries over into gluttony and spending too much on things that aren't in your benefit or the benefit of the planet. So, and you learn how to value the use of your life energy and how to enjoy life in the now. So here's the 9 steps. I've altered them a little bit, the labels. So the first thing you do is what I did. And when I first came to the course in 2004, the dates are on here. We ask you to do a lifetime history of income of your gifts and talents. Each of us, from the time we started making our first dollar, have acquired certain gifts and talents over time that we made money at. So we want you to do just a history on a notebook piece of paper. The first time I made money was with a Polaroid camera my grandmother bought me for Christmas, and I sold photographs to neighbors in a poor neighborhood for a quarter a photograph so that I could buy more film for the camera. That's the first time I remember making money. But as you go through this lifetime history of income from your gifts and talents, you might realize, hey, I used to clean houses at one time and I was a lot happier than I am driving downtown being a secretary. I think I'll go back to cleaning houses. It was a lot more fun and I made just as much money when it was all said and done. So people who have gone through this, you come to respect that, hey, I've used my life energy in so many different ways, and maybe I want to go back to something I did before. So that's one of the secrets behind doing this step is appreciation of yourself. Then we teach you how to track your life energy by being in the present. So it's kind of like tracking every penny coming into and going out of your life. I used to use an old checkbook register and I'd write down, I bought gas for cash. So I started tracking my cash instead of just letting it pass through. The easiest way I did it was on the back of a business card. And I still do that today. I'll write cash down that I spend on the back of a business card in my wallet. And I use one of those little putt-putt golf pencils that's in my wallet and I write it down. Then we ask you to take everything you've tracked for the month and you do a monthly awareness tabulation, because this is an awareness building course. We're just helping you become aware of what you're doing with your money. No one's telling you what to do with it. You know, without knowing where you stand on a map, you can't figure out where to go. So you need to know where you are and what you're doing so that then you can recognize things you want to change. So that's what this course is about. It's an awareness building course. We teach you 3 magical questions that will transform your life to ask. So you ask these 3 questions on everything you've spent for the month. Then we ask you to do your wall chart, which I've told you earlier. And those are the first 5 most important steps. The rest of the steps you grow into over time, and you grow into 6 and 7 really naturally. So once you start tracking the use of your life energy, meaning staying in the present with it, how did I use my money today? How did I use it last week? How did I use it this month? And I asked the 3 magical questions on each of the things that I spent on. You'll start minimizing your spending naturally. For me, I found I was buying meals for friends to have time with them. That was costly. So I started doing potlucks. I found I was spending $50 a week, at least one time a week at the local pub, having drinks with friends and buying bar food. I found out, you know, I don't need to do that once a week. Maybe I can just do that once every other week and still feel a sense of fulfillment. That's another thing that I found, a way to minimize my spending, because I was looking at my habits through this daily tracking on the back of a business card, keeping my little receipts, and just reconciling my life once a week with the use of my money. So, and then I started step 7 was I wanted to maximize my income, meaning I gained a higher value for the use of my time. When I first came to Simply Living and Your Money, Your Life, I was selling my massages for $25 for 50 minutes. By the time I was debt free, I was in 3.5 years or so, I was selling them for $45. So I started valuing more the use of my time. Now, for 50 minutes, I get $69. So I value the use of my time even more. And I have people who have been with me once a week for over 20 years in massage therapy. My oldest client, who moved to Palm Springs recently, was with me 23 years, once a week. So I built relationships over time. I valued the use of my time more highly, and they valued me too, because they had gotten great results over time. Then you'll learn about step 8 and 9, which are really steps that you'll need to grow into. But we really focus on the first 5 steps with Your Money, Your Life initially. And then we help you grow into step 6, 7, 8, and 9. So Oprah Winfrey read this book and had Joe Dominguez and Vicki on her show. And she read it and said, it really can change your life. Bernie Siegel, if you've ever read any of his stuff, a medical doctor, it should be required reading for everyone. And then I've had people who've taken my course who've said, I no longer have fear that I had about money. I know where it is. They loved getting another way to look at money as a way that they use their life energy and to respect it even more. And they ended up feeling bigger than their money issue. They can look at it rather than avoiding it. So that was, those are really great results. So that's a quick look at your money or your life, and what we've thrown into the chat area today that helps support Simply Living is there's a link there, and Chuck will share this in a follow-up email for the Your Money or Your Life study guide. That's a PDF. You can download it and print it. And this is what mine looked like after I printed it, but I took it to a print shop and had them, make folds in it for me. But you can print it, and like I did recently, I just put it in a ring binder, okay? Because I just finished teaching a 4-week mastermind on Your Money or Your Life. But you can do this, and you can take this study guide and walk through the book on your own at your own pace. The other thing that we've thrown in the chat area is a 7-week course that I taught, and there's 7 recorded webinars along with the study guide that you get, and it's $59 for those 7 recorded webinars. You get the links, you get an instruction sheet, you get the link to print this, and you also get some step samples that I made up. So if you actually wanted to start a deep dive today and not wait till, we're imagining our way forward, haven't we, Chuck, recently, that maybe we would launch a live course maybe in the first of the year is what I'm thinking, after we do A Gift to Be Simple in October. Maybe do an announcement in October for a course coming right after the first of the year. That's when everyone's thinking more about money, because they're recovering from Christmas. So, and they can ask for the course for a Christmas gift too. So the other thing you can do with that webinar course is you could buy it and split the cost with several of your friends and sit down and do the course together at home. So let's say 3 of you split it, 3 ways. You'll each get a PDF download for the study guide, and you can sit, do the course together, and hear me teach it. And there's other people on there because it's a live discussion course. You can listen to what they had to say, pause it, restart it, all at your own pace. So that's really about all I have for you this evening. And if you have any questions based on that fast sprint, then feel free to ask them. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. You want to quit sharing the screen?
Okay, thank you.
And we're back, and there we go. Feel free to ask any questions. I thought it was a great run through, good, well taught, reflecting the values you've learned and acquired as a teacher.
Okay, thank you.
And
Kathy, your hand's up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question. So I have worked with a lot of younger people in their 20s and 30s, and the younger generation, at least for the ones I've been working with, reality is quite different than when I was growing up, and I, faced a lot of the same things you talked about. Growing up, I went through a time where I was extremely financially unstable and very much in debt, and am in a much better position now. But things are very different for young people now. They have massive student loan debt, a lot of them. We have the highest rates maybe since the Depression of people living at home because they can't go out on their own. It's much more difficult to get jobs, especially during the pandemic. The minimum wage hasn't gone up for 20 or 30 years. So I guess it seems like there's such a steep climb for young people, and that there's needed systemic change is needed, such as raising the minimum wage and doing something about student loan debt. I guess how does this course, adjust to that, to kind of a new reality for people coming of age now versus, maybe 20 or 30 years ago?
Well, everyone comes to the course entirely differently. I've never met, like I said, I've had people who were living in a tent, trying to come back into society, come and take the course. And of course, when they came to take the course, we didn't charge them for it, things of that sort. We make it available to meet people where they are. So I couldn't imagine a worse state of being maybe than being away from home, living in a tent down on the south end over on the railroad tracks here. But your consciousness adjusts to the steps to whatever you believe is possible. Everyone comes to it with a different belief system, a different experience. So when we take them through to remembering how much money they've earned, it might be a very short list, but they get to imagine and remember what they have done, or imagine their way forward into what they would like to do. Many haven't worked a program to find out what their real values are. So they get to hear other people's life experiences that have had maybe better success with money or a history of working with their school debt. And because when you get in a discussion course, you're sharing not only your gifts and talents, your life history, but how you've overcome so far. And you get to pick up new steps, through the course to maybe make it easier moving forward. So I would say for someone that might be in that position, them hearing my life story and where I've been, they're going to pick up, bits and pieces from all of us of what could help them imagine their way forward. And, in a live discussion course, you can ask for help and suggestions too. You build, the ones I was with I stayed with for 4 years, going through the Earth Institute courses with the same group of 8 people. So, the same thing happens here. You just kind of travel together and you learn from each other. I guess that's the easiest answer I would have.
Yeah. Lynn?
Thank you, Randall. And it's really, I think it's great because we've all heard about different presentations about how to, clean up your financial world. But I love the approach of what you're taking what does that mean? Your world, what is the world you want it to be? And that's a very, really great reminder. And what I really also see is where's the next level for once people know that they have some funds that they want to spend in a great way, like our Karen and others that are looking for how do you impact with your funds. And I think I'd like to know if there's groups or that you're participating in or others that are talking about that. How can we take our money and make a difference? Because I live in Old Town East and developers are coming here. And I really believe that they don't know what people want and they don't believe that people here have money. But people here do have money and they have houses that they won't sell until they know that there's a better place for them to live. Right. And or one that fits more into their goals, like me personally. And so I feel like there's really a need, kind of as Chuck is familiar with, ECDI and their funds that they have. So I'd really like to also see in the future, once because I think this is wonderful for people who want to get their life into. And even though I might have some funds that I want to invest, I also know I need to get some other parts of my life more easier and cleaner up. But I believe that there is that next level of organizations and individuals who do have funds that want to make some kind of impact in their community. So I'd love to, hear of you if that's part of, if you're participating in anything, because there is actually a group, I'll give you an example. There is a Jewish charity, a group of Jewish women that's out of a synagogue, more of a Reform synagogue movement. and they meet monthly and they listen to presentations of different organizations in the community. And you commit to X amount of money per year. And at the end of the year, after hearing these different presentations, then the money is gone to different organizations. They're chosen. So the good thing about it is you learn along the way the money. People have a chance to hear this, and there's part of, again, conversations of value and more than just the weather and whatever. But then, and then there's a process to get the money out. There have certainly been shorter ways. The soup, Columbus soup was one of them. I don't know if anybody participated in that one, but I see that there's really an interest and a need for that type of giving, not just once a year, the big table, the big give from the Columbus Foundation, but a little bit more where it's a little bit more on the ground. So sorry for that long, but I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, well, I do know I have money invested in ECDI as well. That's one of the community things I do. I have personal things that when we, after we get people through the first 5, 6, and 7 steps, we let people take a break and use the tools for a month. Then we have them come back and we find out where they are. And then we talk about doing another session about investment suggestions. What I do is share what I've done, but I can't give financial advice as part of Your Money or Your Life. People in the group can share what they've done. And I think, Chuck, there used to be a group that kind of came into Simply Living after Your Money, Your Life baited, called Slow Money. And wasn't that about investing?
It was. Slow money, investing in local farms and the food movement generally. It came originally from Italy. It was slow food, and slow money became a way for a circle of people that wanted to invest and kind of related to the community supported agriculture movement, but also, actually pooling money, investing in, say, a special piece of equipment to do apple cider. I'm making that up, but there are needs that the small farmer needs to capitalize on their investment and their commitment.
Yeah, and there's some groups out there that do micro loans for small businesses that you can get involved with as a way to invest your money and get a return as well, that are, very community minded ideas. But, I'm really on the simple with my investing experience. And so it's kind of like the 12-step idea is the way I approach it. I share my experience, strength, and hope with what I've done. And that's the best thing I can give anyone.
Yes, Karen, go ahead.
I'm a big believer in being proactive, not that being reactive, there's certainly some good parts to that, but the first realization of money that I had was in grammar school. And our grammar school connected with our Buffalo Savings Bank. And you could weekly, as a child, this is in grammar school, so you're like 8 years old, 7 years old, you can, every week, you started a savings account and you put your 50 cents in there, or a quarter, whatever it is. There was no, you didn't have to do it at all if you didn't want to. And that was my first realization of money and how it grows, and how you can make money. And then of course I got an allowance and I had envelopes. And what I'm wondering is there any realization that we teach sex education in school, we teach different things, and one of the things that we don't teach is about money. And you had mentioned that people are more likely to talk about sex than money. And is there any chance that the school system will see the realization of teaching children when they're young about finances, about just, for instance, the impact of advertising and how wonderful it is. Is it really wonderful to go to McDonald's and get junk food to make an unhealthy body? Or is it better to maybe grow your own tomatoes, or maybe have a garden, or having fresh food in some way? I mean, I think that if we can get schools to embrace teaching children about the downfalls of advertising and how you can be so easily sucked into believing the ads, when I don't think children realize that the reason you advertise something is not for the benefit of the person you're advertising to, but to sell and make money. And I don't think the kids understand that. I know that my kids didn't smoke cigarettes because they were taught year after year in school about how harmful cigarette smoking is. I'm sure that they showed them pictures of lungs and people dying and things like that, but they were, I mean, the children were taken when they were young. Is there any possibility that you can, you know, get the schools to think about this, even if it would be maybe an after-school activity?
Well, I think there's a...
Can I respond to that? Randall, can you hear me? This is Janice.
Oh, hi, Janice. Yeah.
There's a bill in the legislature. I think it's Senate Bill 1 on financial literacy. It's to require financial literacy in the schools. I think it's like half a year,
Oh, wow.
1 credit or something. And that we should lobby our legislators. It has a lot of sponsors, so I think it has a good chance of passing. But I think we should, you know, call our legislators, our state reps and state senators. Let's get that passed.
Schools are also there. I believe, and I'll look in the archives, I believe there's a middle school version of Your Money or Your Life.
Oh.
That was written many, many years ago. I don't think it gained a lot of traction. But what I think is this, that for instance, if you or someone else would have a passion around that, the foundation, New Roadmap Foundation, wouldn't have any problem in someone taking a previous version of Your Money, Your Life, or create a new version using the same steps of Your Money or Your Life, or just a piece of the steps. Maybe taking into the middle schools would just be the first 3 steps, just the piece about, or just the tracking piece. Track every penny coming in. You know, we used to say this, there's the 3 most important steps in Your Money or Your Life is this: track every penny coming into and going out of your life. The second most important step is track every penny coming into and going out of your life. And finally, the third most important step, track every penny coming into and going out of your life. And so if you, Karen, for instance, decide, hey, I really love Your Money, Your Life. I spent 6 months with it. I'm living these steps in integrity, and you wanted to package something up and go into the middle schools with it, which would really be the best age, because they're starting to do little jobs around home. They're getting allowances, they're mowing lawns, and they've gone to the parents, you know, to Walmart or wherever they've gone and watched them spend money. That's really the best age. If you want me to look it up for you and see if I can find something like that, I wrote it down. Middle school for Karen Jones. Not that I'm not trying to lay this on you. I'm just saying, if you have an interest, I'll look it up and see if I can find it.
Okay. I mean, if there is some legislation in process, I would like to, you know, call up, which I do all the time, and say, hey, I think that this is a good idea. I think it's necessary to be proactive.
You can Google it, Ohio Senate Bill 1, and you can read all about it.
Ohio what?
Ohio Senate Bill 1.
Ohio Senate Bill 1.
Yeah, I put some links in the chat. If you open the chat, you'll see a link to the bill, the status in the legislature. It has passed the Ohio Senate unanimously, which I didn't think any bill could ever pass unanimously anymore, but that one did. So it is now in the House and has been referred to committee in the House.
Well, what if I click on that? What'll happen if I click on that right now?
If you click on that link, it'll just open that link on your computer, and then you can check that whole.
So I can click it right now.
Yeah.
Nothing bad will happen.
Nope.
Oh.
And I put some other links in the chat as well for Randall's pre-recorded course and his and the PDF study guide he was talking about. So yeah, you can click on any link.
So I won't go away though, right? I'll just click on it. Oh, okay.
No, it might open it up above your Zoom call, so you might have to click to get back to your Zoom call, but it'll just open it up.
Okay, I'm going to add it to my bookmark then. Okay. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Sure.
I know of another program I'm involved in called Infinite Possibilities, and it's been delivered in the Columbus schools. It teaches, the lady took the training I took, and she packaged it for middle schools, and she has stuff, she has puppets, and it teaches about that all the world is an infinite possibility. It's all centered on you and what you believe to be possible. So she teaches about development of belief system, the use of the will, management of attention, energy, all of those things. And Columbus Public Schools or any school system welcomes people to come in and teach these little programs. And they do like meetings in the little theater room or in the gymnasium for children. And they, teach these kind of specialty programs. Outside people come in and do them. So there may be something going on we don't know about, but Your Money or Your Life, I'll look and see if my memory's serving me right, there was a middle school version. The version I teach most often is called Money and Spirit, or Spirit and Money. That's a version that brings in all the various spiritual philosophers and philosophies are woven into the steps. There's a Christian version that uses scripture. And then there's a standard version that doesn't use any beliefs woven in to the material. So.
Well, great Q&A. I appreciate the questions and the responses. Any more questions?
Can I mention one other thing?
Sure.
If you're interested, you can go to the Senate Bill 1 and go to the Senate hearings, and you can read the testimony. And I listened to it for an hour or two, like a couple months ago. And all these students came in who were taking financial literacy courses, and they all swore that it changed their lives, or kids just into college, It was the best course they ever took, some of them said. Most important course they ever took.
Wow, wow.
The other place I've thought of something like this for this and some other courses I teach are just certificate courses that they do at Columbus State. There's a lot of instructors go in there with their own material. Of course, they review it and everything, and you can teach a course there, and it may or may not be good for credit that people can take as part of the Columbus State curriculum. Lifelong learning, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, wow.
And there, who is that group over in Worthington or in Columbus, Chuck, that used to have all those local courses available? They would produce a printed catalog.
Yeah, that used to be the Free University.
Yeah.
And OSU did a version of that.
Okay.
So I don't know that it's going on now, but it was a great concept. And maybe somebody who sees the infinite possibilities will catch on to that.
I mean, we should be, that's an opening. Opportunity knocks.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, yeah, I forget what that was, but anyway, there were courses of all different kinds available, and you go to a middle school somewhere to take it, and they published all of them, and you had to make an application to get in. And I don't know if that still exists. I can't even remember what the name of it was, but you know, that's kind of what SU kind of wants to do as well. And you have a great place, you know, to put that. So it's just sitting there waiting to be utilized, right?
Yes.
I do have a question. Do you find that any of the just in any financial institution, ECDI or Kemba or others that are really interested or have really want to be supporting these type of educational programs?
Kemba, I remember years ago, I had a meeting with them and we promoted something with regard to your money, your life through Kemba one time. That's just my experience.
Well, that's good.
When I heard,
bring it up to them. That's cool.
Yep. And I think I think ECDI has actually a recording studio that they created about 3 or 4 years ago for people who were doing like we're building businesses there to be able to record and do education as well.
I think the local credit unions would be, I would think, very interested in this. It'd be a win-win situation.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's a good match.
Yeah. Now, Randall, I heard in that testimony that there are banks who do participate in the schools. They have programs.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense, doesn't it? That they would do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think there's, you know, it's a great time, you know, to relaunch the idea of fulfillment and how do you want to get there? Because, you know, people are asking that question again. And what's enough?
Yeah, that's a great point. I have a bumper sticker that says ENUFF, enough. And it gets the message across.
It does.
So I think, well, go ahead.
When you were talking about track every penny going in and out, but applying your values to it, that was very important for me because I found out I was spending 130 hours a month just on housing, and that conflicted with my values because all I needed was shelter. I didn't need to spend that much time.
Yeah. We do an exercise in Your Money, Your Life called your real hourly wage. And so you actually write down, you know, how much you're earning. And, but then underneath of that, you put down how much does this job cost you in time to drive there, the gas you have to buy, the parking you have to pay for, the job costume you have to buy, you know, the suit that you wear with the tie. And a lot of people realize I'm driving downtown, maybe I'm making $20 an hour, but at the end of the month, I'm only bringing home $15 an hour because it's costing me $5 an hour to maintain the job.
So, what about the chances of being in a car accident? There's car accidents every day and there's a straight road. There's no mountains or anything.
Yeah, we've had a lot of people make a change in life. They decided to take a job working at Kroger as a cashier rather than being a secretary downtown. And they're making $20 an hour living closer to home. Their expenses go down and they're keeping maybe 18 bucks out of the hour or 19, you know, rather than not. So that's the beauty of that exercise. And Janice, you apply 3 questions, you know, to every line, to everything you write down that you spent your money on. You ask these 3 questions and you do that also with your job. You ask these 3 questions. Is this job in alignment with my life purpose? Is it in alignment with my values with regarding money? am I coming home feeling energized or depleted, you know, at the end of the day? So, and on and on. So.
Can I add something? When I did this about 20 some years ago, my real wage was half what I thought it was. And the housing was the biggest surprise. And
Yeah.
I ended up I sold my condo, and it allowed me to quit my job. Although I asked my boss if I could go down to three days a week, and he said no. And so I gave him my notice, and I worked 3 days a week for the next 12 years. And I live in a cheap apartment, and I'm very happy because
Wow.
I'm in alignment with my values.
Well, we need you on the first course. come the first of the next year.
So Randall,
I'm in near Akron.
Oh, well, you know, we can do a live and online at the same time.
After listening to some of the stories about why are corporations don't understand why people do not want to return to work. And I think that and we all understand it, that if no matter what you put into it, if your employer in the end doesn't show you respect, then you're not at the end of the day going to, you know, look back and say, I was there, you know, someone was happy I was there. And I think that is really, I see it showing left and right when it comes to people going back into the workforce, and a lot of entities just being so confused, and they don't understand how if they just change a little bit, their employees would certainly feel different. And I hope that hopefully Simply Living and others, as more people think this way, that we can really also, as I say, shake the grass tops so that they understand a little bit more and put into their culture, in their relationships with their employees, that those things are going to be built in, because their employee is thinking about, am I happy at the end of the day? Am I appreciated? Or are there other options for me to go to? And I think employers are just starting to see they have to think about something, but I'm not sure that they're actually coming to that realization yet. And there was a really good one on NPR recently on American Life. And it just told some really great stories of it. Yes. So I think that is even more of a reason why I think it's great that Simply Living, and I loved when you commented on, if those that have already crossed the line into knowing are the only ones sitting around talking to each other, then it's hard to get some newbies to sign up for it, because the newbies are not sitting at the table. And I think that, thank you for that reminder that you always have to be doing outreach and filling the pipeline.
Yeah. And, you know, and I want to give a vote to technology. That's where we're going to meet the young people. SU is the place to meet the young people. You have the courses available. They don't have to drive across town. They can sit from the comfort of their home if they want to. And, you know, maybe we still want to come back to getting together, of course, but we also have to make the same things that are available live should, I believe, also be available online. Or we team up and we do it live and via webcast at the same time, you know. So we could even think about that you might want to think about that with a gift to be simple, you know, that some way it could be set up so that there's a live broadcast Zoom of the event and people can sign in that way, perhaps, and just still feel a part of it and hear the keynote speaker. They're not going to walk around the table and have the hors d'oeuvres, but, you know, they could still have a seat at the table in a sense, right? So
yeah, we have definitely been talking about that with our planning of Gift to be Simple, and how there are some technical challenges sometimes. If you have a live event, your sounds, I guess your sound and your microphones better be pretty good, or otherwise the sound just doesn't get in and people can't hear it. But we can figure that out, and you know, we are going to have to appeal to young people. The Simply Living crowd is, you know, generally on the older side, and we want to continue this organization for another 29 years. So that was one reason I guess I brought up, you know, the reality for young people is somewhat different than when we were growing up, the people who are in their 50s like me. And, you know, we'll want to make things relevant to them.
Yeah, and I think it's okay to keep it on the simple, I mean, closer to survival level of living as an organization, yet still being comfortable and providing a need, because, you know, Simply Living lived really, if you look at it now versus 29 years ago, or when I came to it, it was a luxurious organization. It was like, you know, you have a badge that says, hey, I'm a member of Simply Living, right? And everyone was like, ooh, really? So it was like you were the in person and to be part of Simply Living. So, but I still think it's very respectable to keep everything simple and available too, and not feel like that the organization has to be at that place of luxury anymore. You're kind of rebuilding a foundation in a new and different way, a different building, rather than the cathedral of yesteryear, you know, from that viewpoint. And I, you know, young people can totally respect that, you know.
Yeah.
Well, it's nearing 8:30, and I appreciate everyone's participation and interest, and Randall doing a fantastic job presenting and responding to the questions. I think we've really, I think everybody has taken some things away from this, and look forward to when I record it, and we'll put it up on our YouTube channel. It will include the chat with the links, and we had an exchange with, I did with Kathy earlier about the need to, you know, explain that we have these on our website now. So this is going to be a venture, a little example of another entrepreneurial enterprise by both Randall and Simply Living. So it's going to be fun.
The people on the recording, and I want to say it, you know, to them right now, don't wait till Simply Living to announce a course or something in the winter, coming the 1st of next year, or whenever we launch it in the near future. Get the book, read the book. As Karen said and Janice said, just reading the book will begin changing your life, okay, and set you up. And if nothing else, and then if you want to do it at home, grab the study guide that's going to be in your chat link. If you're really ready for the deep dive, and man, you can't wait, you know, we've got the 7 sessions study course for you. It's right there too. So it's all ready for you right now. You don't have to wait on anybody or anyone, you know. Do it now. Just do it.
All right. Well, we'll stop recording at this moment, and we will, and we got that message across to everyone who made it all the way to the end.